Hey, this is Stacia, and we're going to look at my final round of the Parma Championships. It's called the Parma Club Championships. I was in the under 1900 section, and well, this is sort of an exciting moment. I'd been thinking about it all week because I was 2-1 going into this final round, and my opponent is 3-0. So I knew I would face him because he was the only one that was 3-0, and I was, I think, the only one with 2. So the way it worked out, there was no 2.5s either. So we knew we would face each other, and he actually got the white pieces. So I was in a situation where I could tie for first if I get a win. A very exciting prospect. So let's have a look at the game. So he started with E4, I went E5, and he went F4. So I just played my normal repertoire, and I have to say that, he was clearly reviewing his opening lines and stuff before the game. Like, usually he's a little more chatty or he plays with somebody, but I could tell he was on his phone, and he almost he was acting a little strange towards me. I was like, okay, I think he feels slightly guilty that he's like preparing these lines right in front of me. Okay, who knows if I'm right about that, but I took a different approach. I thought about studying my openings for the game, and but I don't think that approach works that well, honestly. I don't. Usually if I get my opening prep, I tend to blunder immediately, like once I'm on my own. So like, I don't think real quick opening prep is the way to go. So I did tactics puzzles, and I rested prior to the game. So, okay, E4, E5, F4. It's a king's gambit. We've had this position before. He played knight to F3, and I go D5. This is called the modern defense. I also have another move I could play here. I also sometimes play knight to F6. This is the shallop defense, which gets pretty interesting after something like E5 and knight h5, and it's sort of like in the Queen's Gambit Accepted, you do this on the queen side. We're doing that same idea here, except it's on the king side. It's a little sharper, that's for sure. Okay, but I played d5, the modern defense, and one of the ideas of this move is that, we're just attacking their center immediately, and if they take, which they probably should, all right, now they don't have a center pawn on e4, so we've damaged the white center, which is important in a King's Gambit opening. And we don't have to play like this, right? Allowing this knight to come with tempo on the queen. We can just play knight to f6. And in fact, all these moves were played. There is something funny I could show too. Yeah, I'm in the mood to do more thorough, slower analysis today, so I hope you guys are too. So one thing about the modern defense is, okay, after knight to f3 and d5, sometimes people try this move e5. It's actually a bad move though, because now we can play g5. This is a really interesting idea where, okay, if they play d4, we can play g4, and where does the knight go? It's not so easy, right? I mean, if you play something like this, I think you just lose. Like, there's no g3 here. I mean, you're going to have to move your king. Okay. I mean, I'd much rather be black here. There's so many moves we could play. But okay, so actually one of the main ideas in this position is to just play bishop d3 and sack the knight like this. And then, take this pawn and then apply pressure down the f-file. It's interesting. It's actually a piece sacrifice, and it is somewhat playable, although the computer hates it, and this, well, at least that exact version of it. So, okay, after e takes d5, I did go knight to f6 because I want to recapture with a knight, not a queen. He goes knight to c3, and okay, so I was kind of aware at this point that he's playing quickly. I'm like, yeah, I'm right in his prep so far, and I think we've had this exact position as well, so it would be expected. But what else besides knight takes d5 here? I feel that's just the right move. So I played it. He took I didn't necessarily expect him to take. I kind of expected something like bishop c4. This seems more annoying to me. But okay, he didn't play that one. He went here, and I take back. And okay, I mean, usually the queen on d5 is now well placed, right? Centralized queen, that's a benefit. And the queen cannot get hit by knight c3. But one thing is that the queen can get hit by c4. So like d4, c4, I think, is on the agenda for white to rebuild their center that way and hopefully regain the pawn. So that is white's plan. And by the way, if they get this big center and play bishop takes f4, winning the pawn back, like white's almost always better in those positions. Like you can't let them get the center and win the pawn back. Like that's just a good position for white. Okay, so my strategy against the King's Gambit, which I've played many times now, and I really like it, is to really be annoying and try to hold on to this pawn. So, so he goes d4 here. So he's doing that plan. And, okay, and he's threatening to win back the pawn. So, yeah, and actually, I don't think he is threatening to win back the pawn now. But during the game, I don't think I really saw it. Because, like, let's say I just go, you know, I don't know, like knight c6. If he does take, we have this check here. And that looks like it wins the bishop. So I'm not using the engine, but I think that is absolutely right. So, but in the game, I played bishop d6. And I mean, I do know that the main line is bishop e7. So knowing this, I still didn't play it. Partially because I don't like it. But I think, you know, it's necessary. I think my move, bishop e6, has a serious drawback. Bishop d6, sorry. And that drawback is that my queen, you know, is going to get hit by c4 at some point. And now I can't retreat back to d8. And I think that might be the best square for the queen once we retreat. So, sorry the screen keeps bouncing. I don't know why it does this to me necessarily. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Okay, I think I just have to fix that now. Let's just... Sorry about that, but I wanted yeah, and I actually have annotated this game. I didn't really use the engine either because I think it's important to be objective when you analyze with strong players, and then you can check with the engine afterwards, you know? If you look with the engine, it takes away some of the curiosity. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so I think this move is risky, and I realized this during the game, but this is a G90 game, right? So I got lots of time. And so I did calculate a little bit, just making sure that my queen, in fact, had a square, because it wasn't so clear. And I kind of determined queen a5 might be an option, although I didn't really like it. And I also thought maybe here, maybe here. And this I didn't really like. And this I didn't really like. So I was seriously considering, you know, f5 or e6 for the queen. Got to have a plan, right? Because c4 could come. All right, but in the meantime, this bishop is doing a very good job of protecting that pawn. That's super annoying for white. And in my experience, white players get sometimes, you know, frustrated by the fact that they can't develop with tempo, you know, recapturing. So, so this is my go-to plan, and I do like it. So, okay, he goes bishop e2, not blundering with bishop. Well, yeah, he couldn't blunder that anyway. Castle, castle, and okay, so I think his approach is correct to not go c4 right away and to, you know, castle first, and only then go for the c4 move. So here it comes, right? And well, I had to consider as well, like, what to do on c4, because there's a problem, right? Like, if I just play, you know, I don't know, if I just play a move, h6, and this comes, you know, this is going to attack the bishop, and I can no longer defend the pawn. The other thing I have to be mindful of is this knight e5 move, because it's basically a discovery on the pawn as well. So I'm always thinking about knight e5 and see if I can stop them from doing that. Sometimes you can't stop them, but that's okay because you take off the strong knight maybe, so you get some other compensating factor. But okay, and really we're black, so we're just trying to be fine here. So I did go c6, and my idea is that, you know, in that line I was showing, I want to play bishop c7. Okay, so here comes c4. And yeah, it was here I definitely realized queen a5 was like pretty much a big mistake, because if I go queen a5 and I continue with my plan, then after c5 and bishop c7, yeah, I put blunder here, because now it's white to move and win. So if you want to find the move, go ahead and do so now. Yeah, it's actually really simple. It's just this, right? The queen is literally trapped. So, I mean, that might look simple, but I was calculating this from afar, and I did see it, so that's good. So I didn't play queen a5. I landed on queen e6. I thought this was a little better. Okay, and I'm curious where the computer wants it, so I'm going to ask it real quick. Yay, it wants queen e6. I knew it. Okay. It also likes queen f5 and says black's equal, but black's slightly better after queen e6. Okay. All right. I mostly want to leave the engine off, though. All right, so he goes queen c2. I wasn't sure about that move, but okay, it does help to connect the rooks. And now I have, like, I thought, a pretty hard decision of what to play here. The problem is that white has so many like moves that they could play and so many ideas. One major idea is knight g5, right? Like that's going to threaten my queen and threaten checkmate. So, you know, I got to be careful there. Another idea is the knight e5 move I was talking about, where he can win that pawn back, maybe with advantage. So I got to watch for that. This is a tempo move I have to watch out for. Although I always want to invite this move because it weakens the d5 square and makes the d4 pawn a backwards pawn and probably a target for a long time. So I kind of wanted to provoke c5. That was part of my idea. Okay, but there's more than that too. There's also d5, just blowing open the position. That could be an idea, as well as bishop d3, which attacks h7. And I swear there's another move too. Maybe bishop d2. I didn't think about bishop d2 during the game, but Michael Jolson really considered this one, because the bishop can go here and they're threatening to bring the rook over like really quickly. So many different moves. So when I played knight to d7, this is the move I landed on. You know, this is a risky move because I'm blocking my bishop and my pieces are fighting for the same squares. Like, for example, I think my queen wants to go to f6, but so does the knight, right? So, like, that's not so easy. My bishop wants to come out, but my queen's blocking it. So I'm definitely in a cramped position. That's what these big centers do to you. So I need to tread very carefully here. And I did decide knight d7 was safe. So let's see if the engine likes it. I'm just curious. Okay, it's the second best move. The top move was c5. Wow. I looked at that for like 1 second, but I thought they would go d5. I didn't want to give white the space advantage, but engine says that we just play queen h6 and we're sitting pretty. Queen h6 in line with the bishop. Yeah, that's hard for me to play like that. That doesn't feel intuitive to me to do that. So I probably wouldn't consider it given all the danger in the position already. So after knight d7, he went bishop d3. And okay, so h7's a threat. Knight g5 is a threat. This could be a little bit scary. Oh yeah, and what was I going to do on knight g5? I forget. I think I was just going to go queen f6 here. But that hangs mate, so that's definitely not what I was going to do. I was probably going to go here. And then on this move, I had an idea too. Maybe f5? Oh, I was going to take the knight, of course. Okay. So, that was the idea there. So yeah, I had to calculate these little things and just make sure it's all good. And so I thought it was. All right. So after bishop to d3, I went h6. Yeah, this is another one where I spent a lot of time and made sure, like double checked that I'm not going to lose the game. I mean, it's kind of a critical moment in a way because white is really close to having a huge advantage. So I've got to keep it together and make sure I don't miss anything. So h6. Now I think Michael Jolson, he said something like, get out of here. Played like bishop d2 and said he likes white. And, you know, I can't argue that point. Like, I like white too. But I think black's okay. We looked at a bunch of variations together, and it did look very tough. Like, what does black play now? You know? Let's try some stuff first without the engine. I mean, we can't really reroute the knight like this because there's this pawn fork. If we go knight, let's just play knight to f6. Like if we do this, okay, it does take away the square from the queen. So maybe, you know, part of the idea behind bishop d2 is to play this with tempo like this. I mean, there's really no choice now. I don't believe this move. It might be the right move, but I don't know. It feels like the queen could get trapped there. There's not a lot of wiggle room, so I'd have to calculate and make sure. But also this would just continue blocking the bishop. I don't necessarily want to do that, right? But let's just say we do this. Okay, what if he goes... Even this move looks very threatening. Yeah, I don't know. This is falling now. And this could happen. And I'm starting to believe some sacrifices he might have. And okay, I don't know. I'm getting scared. There's this idea too. And he could also just play here and like just build up. So, although I think you should take the pawn if you can. Wow, so this is actually quite scary. So I'm going to turn on the engine and see what it says. I mean, here it says black is better slightly. I mean, we're up a pawn and only better 0.5. So that means that white has some compensation. I mean, it feels like full compensation to me. I'm not going to lie, but computer knows how to defend perfect. It says here we play queen d8, which... Okay, that opens up the bishop, I guess. And then... Let's say they go here. Then it says black's winning with knight g4. I guess now we're going to come in here with the fork. Wow. It's also discovery on the knight. So that is just a bad move, actually. So they have to deal with that. So maybe knight h5 wasn't right then. Okay, so there's a lot going on here, but I don't want to get too into the weeds there. But in the game, I played h6. And he played one of the moves that I expected, which was bishop f5. So I had to plan against this one. Yeah, just queen f6. Okay, that was the idea here. Now he goes b3. Okay, so I get the point of b3, and I'm not saying that I don't. Like, yes, this looks pretty good. But there's always part of me that's a little happy when white starts playing in a way that just gives up playing bishop takes f4. it's a little minor accomplishment that, you know, that we stop that, you know. So b3 is also a slower version than what he could have did. I still think bishop d2 is the way to go because that gets the rook in the game much faster. But okay, b3 is a move, and it's still not bad at all because these pawn pushes become very strong with the bishop on the b2 square. So I went rook e8. I'm giving that exclam, but I have to untangle, and so this was the idea I had. I thought if the knight can't come to f6, I would play rook e8 and knight to f8. And, you know, and maybe someday the knight can reappear on g6 or e6. I think e6 looks especially good. You have to worry about that, but okay. He goes bishop b2, and I play knight to f8. So this is my defensive idea. And now he goes bishop d3, not wanting to trade. Now, another moment where Michael Jolson would have played different, he was saying take here, or Elliot was saying take here. We analyze at work. Sometimes it's kind of funny. Good job, right? Where you analyze chess with a chess master like on your break. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So I was thinking I take back. Okay, and yes, I know there's this move, but I thought, you know, why can't I just play here or something? Like, is this so bad? Like, I mean, it threatens to trade queens, and what do? I mean, if you go here, I just take that, I guess, because, you know, there's pin. So yeah, I think this, it just doesn't work. They could also try this, though, like here. And if I go bishop c7, I think that is losing, because now this is going to come with tempo with d6. So actually this way is scarier. I could still go here, and then let's say they go, yeah, this is less fun, but yeah, doesn't this just lose? Attacking the bishop and threatening the fork? I can't really stop this. Okay, so that does lose. So, but I don't have to go bishop c7, right? This is why I would go bishop to b8. That way, if this pawn gets here, it doesn't come with tempo against the bishop on c7. So anyway, that was some options that white may have had there. Yeah, what would I have done against that? I really want to ask that question, because can we look at this again? Like, I want to try to understand if black has a way out of this, because we didn't really, yeah, let's say here, bishop e8, and here. Okay. Discovery on the queen, right? It's not like they have to do this either. There's other options. Yeah, I was thinking queen g6. I guess this is fine. I guess it's fine. Yeah, you know, the thing is, I don't have to take with the knight. If I take with the knight, then what am I doing? Allowing this. Like, this structure is bad enough. It's coming with a threat as well. That looks really bad. So what I could do is just take with a pawn. They could do this anyway. I don't love this, but maybe we can play here. Blockade it. I'm going to see what the engine says. I think black's not great here. I kind of like white. Let's see what it says. It says, wow, it basically says equal, slightly better for white, plus 0.3. Okay. I'd be more afraid than that. I mean, well, here's the thing, like, oh, it's going up for white a little bit. I mean, here's the thing, we're still up a pawn, but look at what white has done here. That's a huge advantage. My chess coach, my new chess coach, Shami, would tell me that this pawn is worth a piece at least, because that's what it's going to take to. It's going to either tie down a piece or eventually win a piece. Okay. So after bishop d3, though, I played queen d8. Okay, I liked queen d8 because, I mean, probably the problem with retreating is it is slow, right? And it gives me a chance to do whatever I want. Well, I wasn't born yesterday. I see these pawn pushes and I see this. I'm not going to wait around for that to win the game. So I played queen d8. And this seemed like these queen retreats back to d8 or d1, they look passive, but often they're good because the queen has such scope and you can switch diagonals this way. Like, I don't know. I'm not going this way, but also the queen just is active here, right? She's exerting pressure everywhere. So I like queen d8. All right, so now he decided that he could trade rooks and get a tempo on me. But it turns out that this is actually probably the game-losing move. We did a post-mortem after the game, and we thought this is the game-losing move. If you can believe that, because it's a natural move, but that's the thing, right? I'm up a pawn. White, I know this is a gambit player. You cannot just make just normal moves that don't keep the initiative. You've got to keep that initiative. And if you don't, then sometimes your opponent will just untangle and just be up a pawn. And then you suffer. And trust me, I know suffering. So I thought, I'm really close to untangling here, right? Like queen d8, my knight's free and ready to come out and everything. And okay, but the center is still a thing. And I am holding on to this pawn, at least for the moment. So white's big things are these pawn pushes and probably knight e5. I thought maybe even queen c3. That idea too. So there's still lots of ideas for white. Now we thought he has to play h3 here. This is what we came up with. Because this stops me from finally getting my bishop in the game. And this actually, I think, is a good square. It doesn't look like it's good at first. It's like, why couldn't they play h3 afterwards, right? Like here, h3, and here, and this. Well, there's en passant. That's why. So actually, if the bishop lands on h5, it'll be guarding this critical d1 square. That is an important square, actually. And because then no rook can go there. And he can't really be easily kicked out. Not at all. So that was the idea. So bishop g4 is actually a good move, and he needs to stop it right now with h3. Instead, he went rook e1, and I played bishop g4. So, okay, I like this move a lot. I'm like, I can tell, like, my intuition has grown because when something happens, like, even before I think about the game, like, I'll get a sense of relief. Like, right when he played this rook move, I had this, like, sense of relief. And I'm like, wow, I think I'm equalized. I think maybe I'm better now. Like, I just realized that the trouble stopped right here. And then I calculated, and sure enough, it seemed true to me. So I went bishop g4, and he took. And I mean, I didn't fear this at all. Go ahead, do this if you want. Like, I went queen d7 because, honestly, I want to see knight e5 now. Like, I want to provoke this move, which he did play because I saw this variation. Takes, knight e6. Now I feel really good. This knight is very, very solid on e6. It's a really good outpost. It blockades the one dangerous pawn, and he's just, exerting so much. Oops, he's not protecting that. He's exerting so much force in the position towards the center. I like the knight is now, he has arrived. Let's put it that way. Also, my rook's ready to come in the game in one move. And like I was saying before, if he wants to chase this bishop, this is fine. He can't do this, right? This is bad. He can't do that. So this bishop is quite good and annoying as well. So I was liking my pieces here. he went queen c3, and I have to say, this is the one move of the game that, like, rook e1, that last move, even though it was a mistake, like, it looked reasonable, you know? You got a new piece in the game, I mean, at least, but it was too slow. This one, though, what exactly are you doing? Like, there's a pawn there. And last time I checked, you can't take your own pawns. And I don't know how he's getting rid of this knight. So I was very confused by this move. I'm not sure what he had in mind to get that pawn out of the way. So yeah, I was not, and I'm not playing f6. I'm not doing that. You know, like, so, okay. I think queen c3 was just not a good move. So I go rook d8. And yeah, so I think queen c3 was like a big mistake. Now it feels like I have advantage. I seize the initiative by attacking the bishop. All right, so he plays bishop e4. I thought he might play this move, but I also thought centralized bishops are good, but is this one any good? I'm not sure what this bishop's doing. He has nowhere to go. This is a concrete wall right here. If he goes here, I take it probably. Like, I don't think he's so good here. So that was my thought. Let's see if the engine likes this move, though. Okay, it's still the top engine move, but maybe there's nowhere better. Because where else would he go? Bishop e1, that doesn't look right either. So, okay. Yeah, it just means black's, like, better here. That's what it really means. So, okay, he goes bishop e4. And now I can trade queens with queen d4 check. And if I was one of my students, like Aiden or Jacoby Matt, like you guys all love to trade queens. Maybe Olivia. You guys all love to trade queens, but, you know, we got to do what the position demands. So I looked at that, and I thought, that looks pretty good. Like, I probably could trade queens, but do I have a better place to go? And that's where when I saw queen d2. And I have some really sneaky ideas here. I really like what I came up with. So he goes bishop c2. He was actually afraid of, I thought it might be a threat, but I wasn't sure. I thought, he was afraid of this. But I could have did that instead of queen d2, right? So I'm not sure if I'm remembering this right. He was afraid of something on d1 in the postmortem. I think just queen d1. I think. Well, let's look at it. I don't think it's that great. Okay, I guess I'm threatening to take here and rook d1. But I'm not convinced, because then they take back, we take here. I've got a bishop and a knight against the two bishops. I guess I'm up a pawn, though. Okay, I don't know. They have two bishops, so the extra pawn to me isn't, like, automatically winning. So I wasn't about to go for this. So I played queen d2. He went bishop c2, guarding that d1 idea. But I wasn't going to do it anyway. So I was quite happy to see bishop c2. And now I played a really nice move. It is the best move. So if you want to pause your video and find it, go ahead and do so now. Yeah, I got to play this move, and what I love about this is that this is a move Ben Oshami would play. Like, so many times I'm looking at his games, and he plays some weird-looking pawn move. But yeah, f3 just, like, wins big time. Black's, like, definitely way better, but this move, this seals the deal, because we're threatening checkmate, and now I calculated a bunch of stuff here. Like, he can't take with the queen, obviously, right? That's not going to work. If he takes with a pawn, which he did do, then I play bishop takes f3. And now if he takes the bishop, I get to win the rook with check. So you can't really do that. I mean, this is going to be game over because here comes rook d2. So he probably has to trade queens and then rook d2 anyway, right? You know what I mean? Like if he goes here, that's not going to be good. And if he does this, we trade and play rook d2 anyway, and that's a skewer. So this just wins. So this is actually what he played. I took it, and he realized he couldn't take the bishop. So he traded queens. He did this pretty fast, so I think he thought he's fine here, but I actually did calculate this too. And I thought the rook lands here, skewering the bishops again. He must play rook c1, and then I get to play here. Check. Boom. Can't go here because that loses like the entire house. Can't do that one. But you have to go here. So that's the one. But then I take this, and I'm sorry, but I know a good position when I see it. And that bishop's amazing. It's the best rook ever. The bishop pair isn't so good when they're pinned and skewered and whatever else and can barely move. Maybe not move at all. And, okay, my knight will come in the game soon as well. Like, this rook's very passive, just defending a bishop. So this is like a Morphy position now. So yay, Paul Morphy. So, yeah, and in these types of positions, opponents tend to go wrong, and he did here. He played bishop c3, and he saw what he did, and he immediately resigned because after bishop c3, I immediately have this check, right? Like, I mean, is it good? I think so. Check, and I guess he could go here. I mean, I could take a rook, though, so that wins more material, and then I win this too. Okay, that wins a lot of material. So that just doesn't work at all, so yeah, he just resigned. But yeah, that was the game. And overall, I feel so happy about this, right? Like, I don't win tournaments that much. But I really played well this whole tournament. And I feel pretty optimistic about my chess, which I haven't in quite some time, to be honest with you. So this is looking good. And I think now I feel like my calculation training has been paying off. And yeah, I haven't been studying openings at all. I've been doing just tactics, puzzles, and analyzing with my coaches. I have coaches. So that's what I've been doing for my chess, and I don't think I'm going wrong. And also, National Master Michael Jolson, I mean, he has never been afraid in the past to tell me when I'm playing really bad. And he would... he almost makes you feel guilty about it. Like, really? You played that? Come on. You're better than that. You know, he will rub it in, which I don't mind that. I actually kind of like that. But lately he's been saying, you're a strong player and you're playing strong. You're outclassing your opponents. He does not say those things lightly. Like, so he means it. I mean, he even said, like, I think you could be 2000. Like, why aren't you 2000 right now? Like, why aren't you 1900 right now? So when I hear things like that, I know I've improved at chess. And hopefully I'll be able to prove it in the coming weeks and months. Somehow I think being back working full-time is going to help my game, but that is yet to be seen. We'll see. I don't care if it does or not, honestly, but of course I want it to. That'd be nice. So this is Stacia. If you want to end the video here, go ahead. I'm going to do one last thing, and that is run the computer analysis. So let's have a look at this real quick. Because I have not done this, and I just want to see if my analysis that I've been doing quite a lot is right. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys see as well. I guess this will work, right? So it's saying that, wow, it's saying I played really good. 95%. Wow, I am quite happy with that. 17 centipawn loss. I did play a good game then. And what's funny is a pretty strong player kind of an old timer at this point, at Parma Chess Club said, yeah, you messed up the opening, but, you did good. Well, guess what? I didn't. Maybe I understood it better than him. I don't know. I thought I was fine, but I also knew that I might not be. There was a lot of ideas for white. So I guess let's see what my 2 inaccuracies were. Yeah, bishop e6, which I knew was inaccurate when I played it. So, the chess purists out there, you should be mad at me because I did play a move that I knew wasn't totally right, but I also knew it was annoying and playable. Like, somehow I knew this move was playable. I didn't see a way for white to kill me here. And I just spent time and calculated. I feel like that's the right way to do it, not just look at openings with an engine. So, all right, so that's what I did, and let's see what the other inaccuracy was. It was h6. Okay, so here, I wonder if bishop d2 is the move, because that is what Michael Jolson said. Ooh, it gives bishop d2, it gives knight h4, and it gives h3. Which h3, we know why that's good, because it has to do with this bishop, but it probably does other things. It also takes a square away from the queen. So that might be a thing. And you can play h3 if you're not allowing the knight to come into g3. That's the way I feel about it, at least. So when there's a knight on f6 and you play h3, then it's like, oh, I'm coming into g3. Good luck with that. Like, people used to do that to me a lot. But my knight's here, right? So it's not getting in there not anytime soon. I don't know. I think white has too many threats for me to play this way. Ooh, now it wants bishop d2. Wow, so bishop d2 is just absolutely right. Because you don't have to play b3. You can just go here, and now the rook's ready to come in. And that's going to give a precious tempo to white. And then black's living on the edge for real, which is the way it should be. I'm up a pawn. I should be living on the edge. And then we see who plays better. But what happened in the game is that my opponent didn't play quite good enough. He played pretty well, I thought, but not quite good enough. So wait, it's saying c6 is wrong too? Oh, I forgot. There's my annotations and then the computer annotations. I gave bishop d6. I'm the one that gave bishop d6 the dubious. The computer thinks it's fine. That's kind of interesting. It doesn't like my c6 though. But it does say that black's fine. Instead of c6, wow, it says I should go c5. Wow. Okay, you know what? I forget about this sometimes. Same idea, more forcing move, right? Tax the center. Tax the center. I was worried about c4, otherwise I would have did this. And then it says we just go queen f5 or queen e6 now. I probably would have went queen e6. Yeah, I saw this variation and I stopped. I was like, why am I letting him get this? Like, that's a pass pawn. Like, why am I doing this? I mean, computer says we're just up a pawn now. All right. I think Calvin Blocker, if you're watching this video, like, help me understand. I don't understand this part. I would not think that black's just up a pawn here. But maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's because this idea takes longer now. There is no queen d4, so we'd have to play b3 here, here, here. That plan became very slow. The bishop belongs on d3, I know that much. Or maybe they should just try to win this, but I guess you can't now. Even knight e5 isn't good enough. Is that the point? I wouldn't take it, though. Well, I guess, yeah, there is no knight e5 anymore, actually. Okay, I just realized that it won't be protected. Hello. Yeah, so when they played d5, okay, so I'm just trying to understand this position, because when they played d5, they're actually weakening d4. Now my life's mission is to get my knight on d4, or even the bishop. But also it makes knight e5 hard to play, and if they can't play knight e5, Maybe this knight is a little bit weaker than usual, because that 95 move, usually that comes with a thud. It's a good move usually. So, all right. I think it's pretty interesting, and it gives a blunder for my opponent. Let's see what it was. They're giving bishop c2 as a blunder, but the other moves are just inaccurate. Like Ricky, the one I thought was a blunder is just inaccurate. Let's see real quick, because okay, that question mark is from me, not the computer analysis. Computer goes from minus 0.3 to minus 0.8. I mean, to me, the position is way harder to play after h3. Like, now I think what white can do is play slow improving moves and eventually make threats. Because the thing is, with the center here, it's really hard for us to untangle and play improving moves. But I feel like white could do a lot of things. They could play here, queen c3. They could play knight h4. They could even just start pushing their pawns. Like, I don't know what they'll do, but it's hard for me to move my pieces and defend. So I thought that was pretty good. So anyway, I don't want to ramble on forever. So I'll end the video here, but I hope you enjoyed the analysis. This was a more thorough version. Sorry, youngsters, but they're not listening at this point either. So thank you, adults, who actually appreciate, you know, thorough analysis. Even my sketchy 1700 level analysis. So yeah, my rating, I was in a slump, and my rating has now, I gained 80 rating points. So I'm back up to 1716 now. Back in the 1700s where I belong, I feel. So now it's time to go for a new high. And I'll be playing lots of rated chess. I love rated chess. I love tournaments. I'll be playing lots of them. So stay tuned for more. Okay, bye.